Some people watching might not know exactly what an Ironman is. They may have heard of it, know that it's a triathlon of sorts, but just for perspective, can you share exactly what is an Ironman?
So an Ironman triathlon is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, followed by a 26.2 mile run, or what folks know of as a marathon.
It's exhausting just to explain it.
Yeah.
Let alone do it.
I even think about how or why did I ever decide to go about that or sign up for something like this?
And you know what? In today's episode, the first Bucket List Fit podcast episode, I'm speaking with a dear friend of mine, Jeff Ford. He is currently the wellness director at Palmetto Bluff. He and I first met and became friends at Hilton Head Health. I was an intern there. You were just about to become fitness director there. We've stayed in touch ever since. And the reason I have you as my first guest on the Bucket List Fit podcast, I remember this so vividly when I was an intern. You were dialed in. You had already become an Ironman. But you were becoming a 2-time Ironman when I was an intern. You were just dialed in with your nutrition, your training. But what was unique about your approach to Ironman is that it wasn't the way that most people train for Ironman, especially at the time. CrossFit had become a recent fad. CrossFit Endurance was a little branch off from it. And you were kind of an early adopter of that. I'm wondering, Jeff, if you could just tell the listeners, tell the audience a little bit about, first of all, why Ironman? And why the CrossFit Endurance approach that you took to Ironman?
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, thanks for having me on as your first guest. That's amazing.
It's an honor, man. Heck
yeah. I appreciate it. Total honor for me as well. I began my Ironman journey because running just became too easy, you know?
Yeah, obviously.
Totally kidding. I started in college just getting into fitness, and I would run a mile on the track just after a strength training workout. And then in my early 20s, I got into marathon training. And I had been kind of checking off the bucket list around simply running. Mm-hmm. A big thing for runners is the Boston Marathon. Yeah. So I had qualified for 2 Boston marathons, and I had raced 2 marathons. And so at that time, I was like, man, what's next? How can I push myself a little bit further? How can I show the world that when you put effort in, when you put time in, anything's possible? And that's kind of been a guide for me in my training, in my life. And I jumped into Ironman because of the location that we live here in Hilton Head Island, Bluffton, South Carolina. I had never known about like triathlons in general. I had never known growing up that you could go out and race an Ironman distance triathlon.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was this next challenge of like, okay, cool. I've done the marathon, which is extremely difficult. I've raced them quite quickly, and I've done it in a method that most people don't utilize. Can I apply this same approach to Ironman triathlon? So that's kind of how it all stemmed from, is just me looking for another challenge and to do it in a way where it didn't take over my life. I think that's where endurance training has a reputation of it taking a lot of time. And so I've always been excited to show the world and show people out there that you have to put effort in, you have to be diligent and consistent with your training, but it doesn't have to take over your life.
Yeah, you almost had like a work smarter and not harder in terms of a volume.
Yes.
Approach, right? Like work smarter, not harder, but still put max effort in when you show up.
Yeah. And that's how I think fitness has evolved over the last decade, is we notice that people are now training a lot more intentionally. We hear about zone 2 training, we hear about HIIT training. And at that time, that's what I was doing. I was basically putting in very specific workouts to hit the body in different ways so that I could build endurance and stamina in a short amount of time.
How did you get connected to that style of training? Because you before you did that, you did do the longer traditional running, right?
Yeah. So when I first discovered running and marathon training in college, I took a course on marathon training.
They had a course in
a
college?
course at Clemson.
Really?
Yeah, it was the tail end,
That's
I believe,
kinda cool.
my junior year. And I was so new to it. I didn't even know that people did marathons. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's fun about Bucket List Fit, too, when you think about it. It's like a lot of people I know just through our friendship and talking to you don't necessarily come to you from the standpoint of like, I've always had this dream necessarily.
Yeah.
But then they get hooked on this habit or this change that they want to make. And they're like, wow, how do I go about doing this? And then it kind of trickles over to the rest of their life, which I think's cool.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I came at it too, is like, I was just running to be healthy. I was just running as part of my fitness regime. Yeah. And when I took that course in college, it was, hey, just go out and run miles. Just go out. In order to complete a half marathon, you have to do 30 miles a week, 40 miles a week, 60 miles a week. So the traditional training programs out there, many folks have heard of Dean Karnazes or Hal Higdon. Dean Karnazes' book is called 50-50, and it's about him running 50 marathons in 50 days. Some like crazy volume
Talk about a
type
bucket
stuff.
list.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of traditional training programs out there that I first experienced and first started following. And then I was like, man, like my body's getting beat up. This is taking a lot of time. Am I really getting fitter? And so being someone in the industry and understanding energy pathways in the body, I was like, well, is there a different way to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you find that other way to do it? By the way, you picked up that mug. That is a 15K, the River Run. Listeners, maybe you've heard of it before. It was in Jacksonville, right? You invited me to it.
Jacksonville. We had a good time.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
So I got that mug out just for you. That was a good memory.
I appreciate the thoughtfulness.
Yeah. Jeff is the friend who has pushed me in the endurance world, obviously. Like, it is not my natural disposition to go after endurance events. But yeah, man, I mean, it's always been on my bucket list to do marathons, and I did one in Hawaii back like years ago in 2013. Didn't train for it the old school way or the new school way. Just didn't train for it. Yeah. Injured my knee. Tweaked it at mile 3, and anyways, my training has since evolved a lot since then, a lot smarter. Been through some injuries, obviously the broken neck was a big one. I had this habit of not training intelligently at all. I thought like because I had a degree in exercise science and I had all the knowledge, I was the exception. I could just get out there and do it.
I think that's the best part of training is you always get a lot of humility from it.
For sure.
Especially when you evaluate race to race or goal to goal, how you're doing.
Yeah. No, all that's to say is in order for these endurance events, I've really valued our friendship and you motivating me and pushing me to try these different things, inviting me to things like the River Run 15K. And just last summer, I don't know if you want to tell the audience about your tattoo.
And, I'd love to.
Yeah, and like so I'll just pass it over to you.
Yeah.
You've got an Ironman tattoo. Take it away.
Yeah, and I'd love to circle back on efficiency behind training.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that for sure.
That'd be awesome.
We'll definitely loop back.
So without taking my shirt off or anything here today, after I had completed my first Ironman Louisville, that was 2012, I decided that I wanted to put something on my body to signify the accomplishment. And this was in my young 20s, so most people get their tattoos on their bodies typically around that time frame. And it originally started, I was going to put a star on the side of my rib cage for every marathon that I was after doing. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, and to this day, I have 4 stars, and it's wrapped around an Ironman logo. Mm-hmm. So I'd completed the Ironman. I had 4 marathons under my belt. So I put the Ironman logo right here for the 1 Ironman, and then the 4 stars for the 4 marathons, one of which was Boston. It's a really cool tat. It goes all the way up, almost to beneath my armpit.
We might have to take a picture and post it.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it. Funny story about the tat. I never advised them on the colors of the tat.
Oh, really?
No. And I don't think I've ever shared this with you.
We definitely got to post this.
Yeah. So I went in with a rough sketch of the Ironman logo, some flames, kind of how I wanted to look. This was down in Savannah. And for folks who don't know, Savannah, tattoo artist, it's like legit. It's a solid scene to find the right artist to work on.
Good to know.
And I remember laying down on the chair. I believe I did it in all one session, but it was like 6 hours. I took a break, and then they got me back in, like 3 hours on, 3 hours off.
Nice.
Very
Interval
similar to training. Yeah, interval training. And I was very naive at the time. I didn't know like how much a tattoo would hurt, but I described getting a tattoo as like going to the dentist. It's uncomfortable, probably hurts more than the dentist, but you can handle it. But going to the dentist for 7 hours is uncomfortable. Yeah. Anyways, I woke up, not woke up, but it feels like I woke up. I got out of the chair. They gave me the mirror to the tattoo. And there's all these purples and reds and yellows, and I thought it was just going to be a just straight black tattoo. That was like my vision for it. But then after the shock, I don't think I had a girlfriend at the time. I showed some friends at the CrossFit gym, hey, what do you think? They loved it, and it completely like put me at a sense of relief. And my vision was to keep adding the stars on for the marathons until I hit 50. I was kind of in that high volume, let's race as much as we can type mentality.
Was it going to be one of those bucket list goals where like one marathon in each state?
Yes.
Is that where the 50 came from?
Exactly.
Okay.
So my initial vision, and this is what's cool about bucket list type goals or goals in general, is it's cool if they evolve over time. They don't have to stay true to the original plan, especially in this case.
You adapt, you evolve.
You adapt, you evolve. And I have since decided that now being a 3-time Ironman, I'm going to make the 4 stars that exist on this tattoo into Ironman stars. At this moment in time, I believe I've run just over 15 marathons. So instead of paying the extra money to add more marathon,
this is a financial evolution.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this conversation can always stem back to efficiency.
Yeah.
Efficiency in training, efficiency in your finances. And that's kind of where my head's at now with a family. So that is why I invited you to do a Ironman in 2028 with me, because I've got to make sure this 4th star makes sense.
And by the way, the reason 2028, it's not a random year.
Not a random year, no.
You are going to be how old in 2028?
I will be 40 years old.
So the idea is, I don't have a strong endurance foundation, despite having done, events here and there. The 4 years is very realistic for me to build up my foundation to becoming a first-time Ironman.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's been on my bucket list ever since I recovered from the neck, and maybe even before that. I've just never had the wherewithal on my own to say the time is now to do it. I needed a friend like you, a 3-time Ironman, who's in the endurance world, who... You're a galvanizer. We've talked about this. You galvanize endurance running friends. You've brought me into that group. And I think without that group, I probably wouldn't have done an Ironman in 2028. It would have been years later. And what's cool about the Ironman for me, and probably for you the first time, or maybe every time, I don't know, is it's kind of a daunting bucket list task.
Extremely daunting.
And when you put a date on, we put a date on it, even though it's 4 years from now, like, I know that 4 years is going to be here like that.
Well, and so, I know you started training already.
I'm training.
Gradually.
Dude, the fear of the Ironman has kept me so consistent, and it's going great. So my goal has been training in a way that I don't retweak my knee. So success. I've done 5Ks, 10Ks, and 15Ks the past 3 to 6 months or so. No knee pain. The injury from years ago from the marathon has me training smarter now, obviously. And of course, recovering from the broken neck. I'm all about making sure I have the foundation for joint health first as my phase 1.
Yeah. And
then build on top of that. So it's going really well, and I have you to thank for the friendship motivation and the accountability aspect for putting a date on it.
Anytime. And selfishly speaking, one of my favorite parts about racing events like this, very difficult fear type events, is that when you experience it with other people, that memory just stays in your brain. You're like, I did this with some of my best relationships, and that's what I'm all about in life. I mean, I think that's why Bucket List Fit is kind of a cool way of people approaching their fitness and their lifestyle, because it's like, what is that thing you're after that you're going to be able to achieve and then have vividly in your brain for the rest of your life. We only
Absolutely.
remember certain memories, and I find that I remember not only life moments like getting married, the birth of my child, but these moments with friends doing hard things.
Totally well said. Moments with friends doing hard things, and it could be with a group of friends like us. It could be with a coach or a mentor who you've developed a good relationship with, and yeah, it could be with any. Like, the more meaningful the relationship and the harder the task, and you fuse those together, it becomes that much more special.
Yeah,
dude. And so I couldn't. Yeah, totally, man. So I absolutely love the way that you just said that, because yeah, bucket list fit. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like we've talked about this before. How like people who are just chasing some outcome with the wrong motivation, it's kind of like they burn out, they don't keep going, and so it's kind of funny, like bucket list fit kind of speaks to the outcome goal a little bit, but really the journey, what it does, it's a little carrot on the stick that says training doesn't have to just be about making your joints feel better, or just be about preserving health. If that feels boring to you, like let's make it fun, let's pursue something ambitious.
Let's pursue something we think we can't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even better, let's do that while making memories with people we care about.
Yeah.
And then after that, don't stop after that thing. Like just like you pointed out, like I did the 5K, I did the marathons, I took the marathon class in college. What's next?
Yeah.
And what does my area have to offer? Triathlons. And you took that all the way. Three times all the way.
3 times, until I was like, I'm going to take a break for a little bit of a minute here.
And I guess you wanted to have like a family or something.
And what was interesting is my last Ironman in 2015, it was in Chattanooga, just under 11 hours, so I was very happy with the finish time. I had trained consistently again for it, but it was just right after I had moved to North Carolina, and my wife and I were part of building a business, and so my energy went into that goal at that time. But it's really fun to have different goals going on in the different buckets of your life.
Yeah. Love the way you phrased that. You throw in the word bucket. Not just about bucket list fit, but different buckets of life. Ooh, I might have to steal that. That's
you
good.
can.
Yeah,
Feel free.
I might have to give you like some royalties every time I use that.
Sounds good.
And so the bucket of life that you were working on was building this startup. And so it almost sounded like what you were saying is you took parallels from the mindset that you developed through Ironman training that translated over to building a business.
Yeah, and that's kind of what has helped me become extremely passionate about every component bucket of my life.
You can say bucket.
Now I'm going to watch myself.
Yeah,
when
now
I say
you're self-conscious.
Bucket. I don't want you getting too many, or I don't want to take too many royalties from you.
Okay, gotcha.
Losing my train of thought a little bit there.
Mindset.
Mindset around just these different components of our world, where I think we forget that it is very important to have something you're working towards. And especially for folks who have maybe not been physically fit in a while, maybe folks struggling in their work life, struggling with their faith. If we don't have a plan, if we don't have something that we want to achieve, then it's really hard to get excited in the morning. It's hard to get going. And I think at the same time, you have to be careful with what those achievements mean to you. Because it's one thing to just check the box off the list. We don't want to necessarily just keep chasing achievements to chase them. But it's asking ourselves, like, why do we want to put those outcomes in our life? Like, why are we going after those outcomes? And how will it make us better for our everyday, like just how we show up as human beings? Like, I know for me, Ironman is an analogy for life. Ironman is a very difficult event. And it's less about me being able to tell people like you today. This is the first time I've probably ever talked about my Ironman specific achievements. It's more for me knowing that if I apply effort to a goal in my life, I can achieve it. And that's all Ironman takes. It just takes you putting in the effort, having a plan,
consistently,
imperfectly consistently following that plan. Because I also feel like, not to go in a complete different direction, you don't have to follow your plan perfectly to achieve big things. And so many of us out there, we don't even start because we believe that we're not going to be able to execute it in the way that we should be able to execute it. And this takes us right back to where we began our conversation. 20 hours is a lot of training. You don't need 20 hours to achieve finishing an Ironman triathlon. If you want to be competitive at an Ironman triathlon, you can still actually be competitive training less. But if we're going to try to become a professional triathlete,
You can try to win.
yeah, and that's your livelihood, you will have to put more time in. You'll not only have to put effort in, but you will have to put time in.
But we're just saying the goal is go the distance, don't get hurt along the way, and make a good memory.
And enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. Make memories. I mean, at the end of the day, when we, leave this planet on Earth, people are not going to be at our grave sites saying, wow, he was a 3-time Ironman athlete.
I will.
You might be. You might
You'll
be.
be actually a 4-time.
4-time, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, let's see if I can finish this one at 40 years old. But I do think it's that balance, right? Like, you have to have goals. Don't take the goals too seriously, but what's most important is as you work towards those goals, enjoy the process, have fun with it, and don't get injured. Because if you get injured, you can't keep putting that next thing on your list that kind of excites you and allows you to have more memories with those close relationships.
Totally. And the point you were getting at, I was teasing you, is but at the end of your life, people will remember less about you for what you did, but more about for who you became and who you were.
Who you became, how you showed up, and how you impacted them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can approach things in a way where it's like, how can I go the distance? How can I finish this? How can I do it in a way where I don't get hurt so that I can do the next thing and keep becoming the person I want to become? That's the approach.
Yeah.
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 With the one caveat, if you're making this your livelihood and your goal is to win the gold medal, you might have to train a little differently.
Yeah, we would restructure it a little differently towards that goal. And as someone who's in fitness with just like yourself, it's important to identify that with the person who's working on it. And for our viewers today, making sure that you're identifying what you actually want. I always go back to, so many people think they should be healthy, but why do you want to be healthy?
What does that even mean?
To you? Yeah, what does that mean to you? Get connected to that before you start, and then choose the goals that work for you, because there are professionals out there who can help you along the way and coach you to that place where whatever you're trying to achieve does then become a metaphor for your life. Like, I will never forget the end of my first Ironman. And I don't think I've shared this before either. I mean, we've delved into the tattoos, so I may as well go there.
Let's keep peeling the layers.
In the Louisville Ironman, but the first race that I completed, I remember being at the end of the bike, and I started to tear up, and for tears to run down my face. With probably about 5-6 miles left on the bike, I said to myself, I'm actually doing this. Like, wow, like, look where I am. Look what I am not only doing, but look what I get to do. And I had a bunch of close clients who came out to support me at that race. And just that overwhelming feeling of, I'm about to get off the bike and run a marathon.
Which for you is the easy part.
Which is the fun part.
And
the
that's your
part.
strength.
That's where I'm like, I'm ready to just start passing people, put a smile on, get in the zone.
Dude, your superhero cape just like...
Yeah. If you see me transition from bike to run, I'm just stoked, no matter the distance. But at that time, and when you're on the bike, you're just you get in this place, and this is the metaphor for life. You get in this place between miles 60 and 80 when you're on the bike. You've already swam 2.4 miles, and the bike is
60.
Yeah, the bike's 112 miles. Like, it's significant. So you've already biked 60. You're in that 60 to 80 zone. You've still got 50 plus miles to go. And so you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is hard. Like, I'm sick of eating. I'm sick of fueling. I've been sitting on this uncomfortable saddle for this amount of time. And you start to get in your head. And this is what happens in life. We get in our heads and we say, man, am I going to be able to do this? Like, can I keep going? This is hard. I'm going through a tough time. This storm came out of nowhere and it's ruining my day. It's ruining my life. And that's where, during those moments in Ironman, we experience those every day in life. And if you can just remind yourself that just keep putting in the effort, just keep, in this case, turning over the pedals, keep that cadence high, keep your watts up, keep the heart rate low, you're going to be able to finish. And so when I had gotten to the end of the race, I'm like, wow, I got through that kind of obstacle, that tough middle journey of Ironman, and now I get to run. And that's, I think, what's so cool about Ironman and how it's impacted me just as a person, is knowing that there will be challenges, we can overcome them, and then there's a lot of times that when we climb that mountain, we get over that mountain, or we get through that difficult time in our lives, we get to run. We get to go. So
that's so I don't think you've ever told me that about the bike part.
It was super emotional, and even when I, raced the next two, I was like, it's an emotional journey because it is a long day. Yeah. That first Ironman for me was 11 and a half hours roughly.
Wow.
And that's pretty quick, but it's a long time to be up here.
Especially, I want to pause on that, especially for a first-time Ironman, and especially for someone training in a minimal way.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So what? So you mentioned that was like, it was just this euphoric moment where you were really in the moment. Like, what was there something about that mile that just brought you to that moment, to that reality? Like,
yeah, I think there was, David. It's a good question. I think I was worried about getting a flat. Think about things we worry about in our everyday.
Yeah.
This could happen, that could happen, and it was a faulty mindset at times when you're on that bike. And in life, we just think about what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I think when I knew not much could go wrong at that point in time, I was like, wow, like I've worked extremely hard to be here. I've made the commitment to do this. No one asked me to spend $1,000 and go execute the Ironman. So knowing that I was achieving a personal commitment to myself meant a lot. And I do feel like we kind of have these roller coasters. You and I were just talking about this the other day. We have these roller coasters where we have doubt, we have low confidence, and it ebbs and flows depending on what we're working on in our lives. And at that point in the race, I was almost getting a rush of confidence that regardless of what was going to happen on the run, I was going to finish. It was pretty cool.
Like the reality of, this is almost done, I almost did this, and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It just hit you in this emotional cocktail.
For sure.
That's
for sure.
Amazing.
And I think anytime you do something, or when you're doing something you think you can't do, you not only will often surprise yourself, but you'll also have an emotional attachment to it because of how hard you worked. I even think back to the business startup we mentioned earlier. There were so many tough times to get that business going, whether it was interpersonally or just the grind of starting a business that I go to, where I had some emotional times, highs and lows. And so I think if we can all keep the understanding in our hearts that you're going to experience highs and lows, and get comfortable with those highs and lows, and get confidence from the times that you push through the difficult times, then the sky's the limit. Then you can go after your next bucket list fit goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting partly emotional as you were describing that, man, and it gave me the chills a little bit and makes me more excited for the Ironman.
Yeah, I think in every way you're going to experience that, and whether it happens on the run or whether it happens at the finish line, I don't know how many of your viewers out there have even, watched the Ironman finish line. But if you go online and you watch people finish these races,
they break down.
It's inspiring. And you see folks finish these races who only have one leg or only have one arm, and they're working, from a place of like, I want to do this. I want to push myself. And we have gotten to a place in life where we don't push ourselves enough. And it's frustrating to me as someone who loves
in the right way.
In the right way.
Yeah.
And I'll even say not enough, because we have gotten complacent with this world and how easy it has become. And so I just think we have to be careful when we accept doing the same old thing day after day. And everyone's got their own circumstances, but you see people do amazing things that they shouldn't be able to do. And it should lift you up and inspire you to put something on your list that's outside of your comfort zone. And so maybe that's a little intense and, aggressive from a thought process, but I just believe
aim for the stars.
Yeah, aim for the stars,
Yeah.
push the limits.
Put effort in.
Effort is essential, and as long as you put effort in, you can never go wrong. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was a terrible hockey player growing up.
You did tell me that.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me your brother was good at.
My brother,
that.
natural athlete, and that's what's so exciting for me to be even in the field of fitness. Is like I was never naturally. The only thing I've ever been naturally gifted at is swimming and running.
Interesting.
So I discovered running in college, like I mentioned earlier, and then when I moved here to the Low Country, it was my first 5K race, and I did it sub 19 minutes. And I realized
your first 5K.
Yeah, I realized I was in like the top 5 finishers, and I was like, wow, this is a gift that God gave me. And what is interesting about discovering talents late in life is it inspires you to take action, just a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. Well, I know you wanted to circle back to the training method.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak on that. Like, what was that structure? What did that look like?
Yeah, totally. So the training structure was quite straightforward, not dissimilar from what I imagine you set up for your individuals on Bucket List Fit pursuing activities, is always having a foundation of strength. So that was the big difference. Most triathletes don't have any stability, strength type training in their curriculums. And so for me, I was strength training.
Especially at the time, 10 years ago.
Especially at the time, yeah. When I was the black sheep of endurance training, for sure. So my foundation of my training was CrossFit. Yeah. And also, my mentor at the time, he was writing my program specifically for strength towards the race. So we did get quite specific with
which is awesome.
Yeah, certain exercises to get my legs strong, to get my torso and core, so I could hold that position throughout the race, or hold, from the bike where I wouldn't start feeling pain during the event. And that's what's the beauty of strength training is when your foundation is in strength, you can hold better positions or ideal positions for longer periods of time. Yeah. Most people think that we slow down in races because we run out of stamina or endurance, and it's really we run out of strength. We run out of the ability to turn over and contract muscles at the same rate that we could at the beginning of, say the Ironman distance triathlon. So anyways, it was 3 to 4 days a week of focused strength training with some CrossFit conditioning on the back end of those strength sessions. So a couple barbell lifts, some accessory work, and then the conditioning efforts would always be really short and quick, 6 to 8 minutes, high intensity, whether it was burpees, rowing, lighter weight, every minute on the minute type workouts. And then I would actually supplement with the sport. That's an interesting word to use, but the sport was very specific. So it'd be 1 to 2 days a week of swimming, 1 to 2 days a week of biking, and then 1 to 2 days a week of running. And sometimes as I began to get closer to the race, I would do 2 of each sport every single week. But each of those sport-specific workouts would either be short intervals, long intervals, stamina, endurance. We did a lot of trials. So it would be like go out and bike 30 miles, get off and run 5 miles. So brick type training. So there was still the longer distance type training efforts on the plan, but that wasn't the heart of the plan. That was like once or twice a week, go out for a couple hours and get some longer distance stuff. But it was rare that I would do any bike rides that were 4 hours or greater. And that's what a lot of folks do when they're training for triathlon, is they'll get on a bike for 3-4 hours at a time, multiple days in a week. Yeah. And that just wasn't the approach that I took. Higher intensity for all the sport workouts, and then just a little bit of stamina endurance on the weekends.
I'm sure it differed from week to week, but do you remember, like on a lighter week, the average hour time commitment, and on a heavier week, the average hour time commitment for this training method?
Yeah, this training method, 8 to 12 hours
Per week.
A week.
Nice.
Yeah, so just
As compared to, do you know, like what's
traditional triathlon training, a lot of folks that even are recreational, they'll be in the 18 to 24 hours.
Wow.
So there was at least a workout a day, but we would always double up. I would have a strength and conditioning maybe in the morning and then intervals in the evening. And then maybe the next day was just a sport workout, but a little bit further distance.
Gotcha.
And I typically always still try to keep a rest day just because of the toll of the volume. At those intensities, I was sore. It was, definitely difficult training, but I didn't have to do as much of it, and tried to do as much recovery type methods as I could to keep injury away, keep things moving in the right direction.
It sounds like the philosophy of that approach was focus on a foundation of strength, play around with the different energy systems, and at least once a week, make sure you're doing the sport.
Yeah. Yep.
Each element of the sport.
At least once a week.
Yeah.
That's right on.
And sometimes you do longer distances, sometimes you do shorter intervals, but at least once a week, stay connected to the sport. I love that.
Yeah.
And so like even when I work with clients with different goals, I mean, their goals are all over the place. Like I got one client right now, he's going to be turning 50 soon. His goal is to do 50 push-ups before he turns 50.
Like
so
straight, 50 in a row? Love
so
that.
his program's just called 50 before 50, which is fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, but when he started, he could barely do one on the floor. So, but I'm a huge believer in stay connected to the thing you actually are excited about doing.
Yeah.
So like at least once a week, I would have him do 50 push-ups of some form. So like he started with wall push-ups. And he maybe the first week he couldn't do 50, but just as many as you can up to 50, and we would progress. And or like if your goal is to do the front splits, let's find what your mobility is now, and at least once a week do a version of the front splits. Like do whatever the thing is that excites you, or that's like that you're gonna do that thing.
Make sure that's still part of your plan.
Of it, right? Because too many people, I think, they'll fall into a trap of I gotta train in order to do this thing, which is true. But also do the thing that excites you along the way, and meet yourself where you are. Do it in a way,
That's such a great example because for me, I enjoyed running.
Yeah.
And so it was so easy to get those workouts in, and I would definitely bias my training a little bit towards the run. Swimming I love too, but it's difficult to get to the pool. And then biking, I just absolutely don't enjoy whatsoever. Yeah. Nothing about biking is fun for me.
Maybe that's why you were crying.
Maybe it could have been why the tears were welling up. It still was part of the training to achieve something that I hadn't ever achieved. So it made it fun to get good enough at it and still have the other things that I enjoyed doing, like the strength training, like the body weight exercises and the running.
Yeah, love that. And the other thing I wanted to circle back to that you mentioned being imperfectly consistent.
Yeah.
And I really love that. I think too many people fall into this all or nothing mindset of if I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it at all. And, and I'll get clients who ask me like, oh, I missed the workout yesterday. What should I do?
Constant questions, right?
Yeah. And it depends on the situation. Sometimes it's we rework the week. Sometimes it is like, you know what? You missed a workout and that's okay. Like just do the next one, know?
And I think that's such an important point because for me, when I was training, I probably missed at least one workout a week.
Yeah.
And I'm naturally gifting at running and swimming, so I definitely tried to spend more time on the bike.
Yeah.
When I missed a workout, though, it wasn't like, oh gosh, like I need to make that up somewhere. And I think we see that a lot in training. I would just do the next workout that I had written out on my plan for that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Just, you made a wrong turn, just get back on.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, I think we run into trouble where we don't get back on quick enough and we kind of beat ourselves up for, missing that one workout or having that one meal that I didn't plan to have. And it's just not how to operate your life. I think when you become imperfectly consistent, then you keep rolling. You don't get caught up in small things that don't matter.
Love that. And I'm always going to quote you anytime that's imperfectly consistent. I know that's your
You can have
thing.
Buckets.
I'll have buckets.
Yeah.
It sounds good. So you've done 3 Ironmans. I'm curious, was there any difference in either your training or your approach or mindset or experience? What were the differences that you experienced with those?
Ironman to Ironman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I experience most is after the first Ironman, I drive to get better at the next one. I vividly remember that the Louisville race and a previous 70.3, I was hard on myself for my finish
70.3,
times.
that's a half Ironman.
Yeah, so in prep for Louisville, I did a 70.3 up in New Hampshire. And what's so cool about races, just as another angle to this for maybe viewers out there who have never even done a 10K or a half marathon, early on when I was racing, I would use the locations of the races to visit people I knew, to visit family. Mm-hmm. So I would always make that a part of it where it's like, cool, I get to go do a race, visit with some folks that I haven't seen in a while, people I love. And that was just another way of it being motivating. Mm-hmm. So I bring up the 70.3 in New Hampshire because I remember just totally bonking, like having a terrible first 70.3. And and it was just probably an hour and a half past the finish time I had anticipated for my race. Mm-hmm. And I just remember spending that whole vacation looking on the phone for the next 70.3 that I could race and do better at. Mm-hmm. And so the same kind of feeling happened at Louisville. Is the swim and the bike were smooth. You know, I was pumped to get to that run, but after 2 or 3 miles of that run, the pace started just going down, disintegrating. So I knew my fueling strategy or my pace, I had done something wrong at that event that didn't allow me to keep the same intensity throughout the event. So moving into Cozumel, my second Ironman in 2013, I kind of regrouped. I worked with actually Lindsay, my wife, on a more robust nutrition plan. And I got the nutrition right that day because when I got to the run course, I actually negative split the marathon. So for those viewers out there who don't know, a negative split is when the second half of the race, you start going faster than the first half. So my last 13.1 of that marathon, I was actually speeding up versus slowing down.
That's amazing.
And it was one of the best feelings of my life because there was another local athlete who, insane biker, and I had no business seeing him at any point in this race. For most Ironmans, you do a time trial start, so you're starting at different times.
Yeah.
They're typically not a mass start, like everyone jumping into the water. Depends on to the race. But I knew he was ahead of me the whole day, and I think I was around mile 17, 18, and I passed him.
Wow.
And it was just this feeling of like, wow, you know, I'm staying extremely consistent with my run right now. And Cozumel, incredible island. Like, I have such memories from it. This was before my wife and I got married, and she was there. This was like a vacation for us, supporting, and she had maracas on the course. Yeah. And people are screaming all around, agua, agua, because that's the term for water there.
Right.
And I was like, this is awesome. And so what I know I did differently is I approached the nutrition. I looked at the first race. What can I tweak? What can I do a little bit better? And I actually think I backed off the volume even a little more. So I think I did even less volume for Cozumel.
Which was the second one.
Second one, yep, second Ironman. I was just extremely intentional with those training efforts, followed by having a written out, detailed nutrition plan where we actually made all of my own nutrition. So
I remember that.
Bites that I was eating on the bike, they were homemade, and I think that helped my gut tremendously. And I used a different electrolyte powder with much higher amounts of sodium. Mm-hmm. And that's the secret weapon in endurance training, is you've got to have a plan for the electrolytes, have a plan for the water, and a plan for the food. Mm-hmm. And penciling that out, making sure that you know what you're going to do every 20 minutes, I think was the game changer for me.
And did that obviously started on the bike?
Yeah, it starts immediately. Yeah, so no, you're not bringing food with you in a little pouch while you're swimming. And,
that would be impressive.
Yeah, it would be. I've never seen anyone do it. It might be a strategy for some folks out there.
Yeah, because there are people who like swim tons of miles, so I wonder what their strategy.
Yeah, I do wonder what they do because once you get over 90 minutes, you have to start fueling, and that's what makes Ironman triathlon so difficult. Is most folks have just not learned the approaches that will keep them steady. Yeah. And even you might do your fueling plan perfectly, but you went out too hard on the bike, so the run you start to suffer.
So is that what it was for you? It was as soon as you get on the bike, you fuel, and then
Yep.
every 20 minutes up until the end of the Ironman, you're fueling?
For me, yeah.
That was your approach.
There's other approaches. Some folks will do it, have a plan on the hour, but every 20 minutes was perfect for me, and most people are at least every half hour, but it allows you to get calories in at a decent pace so that you're getting enough in, because racing at that pace, depending on who you are, and just in general, most people are going to need 200 to 400 calories per hour. And there's different approaches. Some people do less, but that's a whole other spectrum of planning. It does depend on the person's existing diet of what's going to work best when you're in and on the race course.
And I would imagine the every 20 minutes is nice because you probably can take smaller bite sizes.
Yeah.
You just don't have to eat as much when you eat.
What I like about it too is it makes you stay focused during the race versus like monotonously just pedaling on that bike for
like, all right,
5-6
next
hours.
Checkpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
Now, you had little granola bar, protein bars,
they're
right?
amazing. But after 3 hours of eating the same thing, you're pretty much like, oh my gosh, I am ready for a steak. And that's one of the highlights that I always have from long distance racing is I'm usually like ready for protein because you've been fueling off carbohydrates or more sugary type substances if you're going that route.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, well, what does being a 3-time Ironman mean to you today?
Being a 3-time Ironman to me means confidence. It means that effort is essential. As long as you put time in and you consistently apply effort to anything in your life, you can achieve anything you want to. And I am the type of person that believes planning is what leads to success. People who don't plan run into trouble, or people who have difficulty creating plans might be smart to get a coach, might be beneficial to have accountability. I think there is a subset of the population like us who enjoy fitness and enjoy pushing ourselves. I don't think that's everybody's story. I don't think it should be everybody's story. Right. What I do think is that you have to find a plan that works for you. And when you find that plan, hang on to it. For me, being a 3-time Ironman athlete proves to me that I put a plan in place and I was able to achieve it. And that bleeds confidence over to what I do professionally, what I do with my family, what I do with my faith, what I do for fun. You have to plan fun into your life. You know, we do poker nights. Yeah. That's a goal of mine this year. And I think what I'm actually learning now as a human being, you have to take the same approach to all buckets, components of your life. Because for me, in those days, I was only setting goals
all in fitness.
Around fitness. And I think that's what Ironman has taught me. I don't have to do an Ironman every year. I want to be able to have the fitness ability to do an Ironman, but that's just one achievement. So we can set that achievement on the shelf. Am I paying attention to my family in the way I should? Am I consistent with my faith? And setting goals around all of those buckets is just so important. And when you achieve in one bucket, like the Ironman, it just applies to the other ones, and you just keep pedaling. Yeah. You keep jogging.
Become a stronger version of yourself.
100%.
So what it sounds like, just to kind of go full circle to something we mentioned earlier in the beginning, I've been thanking you and grateful towards you for motivating me to do this Ironman, but it sounds like who I really need to thank is your tattoo artist for putting that 4th star on your tattoo, which is one of your driving motivators to do a 4th Ironman.
Totally.
So that you don't have to add 50 stars for marathons. And if that didn't happen, I might not be doing an Ironman with you in 3 years.
You might not be.
Yeah.
My vision did change, so it's not all the tattoo artists.
Yeah, that's true.
But with the vision changing and the tattoo artists only
putting 4
on there, team approach. It's always crucial in life to have a team.
So, would you like to leave the listeners, the viewers, with any words of wisdom? If there's any bucket list fitness goal that they have to pursue, but it seems out of reach, the distance is too far, the progression seems so far away, what words of wisdom, as a 3-time, soon-to-be 4-time Ironman, would you give them?
Great way to conclude this episode, David. I would say if it sounds daunting, if it scares you, if you've got some fear around it, go back to what we've been discussing all episode today. Think about how you're going to feel when you cross your finish line. Because if you can understand the difference it's going to make in your life, motivation is going to come to you each day. Take the small steps. Keep determination with you, and just know that effort is essential.
Love that. Well, Jeff, I couldn't be more grateful and more honored to have you on as my first guest on the Bucket List Fit podcast. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.